Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at the 2048 on Steam. This is a 99-cent, basically Steam version of a cell phone game that was a bit of a phenomena. Even in the credits, if you come down here, Game 2048 was originally written by an Italian web developer, Gabriele Sorelli. I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but I am certain, as far as my knowledge of it, that there was a lot of copycats out there, as the general concept of the game is pretty simplistic, and in weird ways there's still to this day are 2048 games being made, but usually they don't use numbers. Instead they use more pictorial characters. So this is just a Steam platform version, and I feel like since it was a phenomenon for a brief flash in the pan, there should be at least one good 2048 game on Steam. I'm not sure this one is the one, so let's try that. They say this is a rethought version of the classic game. So apparently there are classics, there are unmistakable, there are survivals, there's time travels. That adds a lot of things. There's high scores that we can work on, and leaderboards that I assume are probably somewhat still being updated. As far as options, you don't start in full screen, and the resolution only goes to 1024 by 1024 as far as the actual game, but it seems like it's a single screen Unity style game where you can go full screen. It's just gonna have the background color. Sound effects are on, music is on. This music is really high energy. Alternate colors for modern mode is off. We may try that later. Let's hop into the game. So, to begin with, in 2048, the cell phone versions that I've seen have always not been up and down, left and right, square at a right angle, not this isometric perspective. So, I guess the general concept needs to be explained. You shift everything in one direction, if it can go in that direction. So you have something like this, it'll shift if two of the same colors, I guess in this instance, match, they will double. So this is effectively a 2, where this would be a 1 and a 1, and you're going to continuously, in a recursive manner, try to increase it all the way up to 2048, which is to, I believe, to the power of, well, 2 to the power of 8 would be 256, and 2 to the power of 16 is like 16 million, so it's got to be somewhere in between there. It's probably 2 to the power of 12. If I was to roughly do the math without actually doing it. So now we're at 3, or what really this would be 4. Yeah, I'm not sure I particularly like the isometric feel to this. You also get, notice I just tried to shift this one into this one and it didn't work. You have to get to a different kind of feel for this, I would say. Like, yeah, I don't see why the isometric makes sense. I kind of want to be able to right click and rotate this back. Playing this on a cell phone made a lot more sense. Now I'm up to tier 4, 16. Because by playing and playing on a cell phone, you were swiping your fingers, which is helpful. This 2048 might be a great game in the same way that FreeCell was a great game for Windows 3.1, because it taught people how to click and drag on a mouse when people had never used a mouse before in the very, very old days. The general strategy is you want to continuously move everything towards a corner, so this isometric view actually does help push you into that way of thinking a little bit better. There's really not a lot of ways to mess up here. at least early on, that the one thing you can do is end up with something that is just slightly out of order. This middle section could become problematic if it is not in the way, but generally what happens is you just fill up your spots and you don't have any other moves. In fact, right now I literally don't have a move this way, I literally don't have a move this way, so I have to now either mess myself up by going this way, and that's kind of all I can do because I can't even really go, well, I guess I can do this. And then see, now this is out of the order, and that's going to be a problem. I'm going to have to work pretty hard to get the middle point back in line with where it should be. Because we're just trying to build it back up. This is also a game that is not particularly an easy game to criticize. Like, the general concept is here. The game can pretty much go on forever unless you really screw up, which that certainly is a possibility of happening. I've now eliminated the option to go this way and this way, so now I'm down to smaller numbers. So I want to try to undo that as much as possible. And see, there really isn't enough room for what I'm doing. I'm starting to desperately run out of space. So now the only thing I can do is move this way or move this way. I'm gonna move this way, and then that puts one thing in the wrong place. Move this way and hope we can get into some major merges, merging up to that point. Saved it. That was probably the wrong move. More and more though. This music just feels out of place. This is a rock star music experience that is not what you want. And see, I have totally screwed this up at this point, here and here. This is probably a game that's gonna fall very nicely into Never Gonna Play It November as a theme, which continues to be an issue. Is just, this is a game to play by yourself. It's not a game to criticize. It's not a game that you're really expecting to have any amazing outcome or entertainment from. It's a turn your brain off and just enjoy the show style of game. Let's see. More and more I'm still running into problems. Until I can get, say, this section fixed and this section fixed, I'm just gonna have constant issues with too many of these low tier values, and they're all in the wrong place. We can try and pull this out, and we can try and save the day, but I'm about to lose. A new random piece is always placed, or at tier 8 or tier 7. It'd be nice to get to tier 8. And so you have one last move, which maybe, just maybe, we can get high enough. But these are definitely the stoppers. Nothing fixes. Nothing gets fixed until these pieces can get eliminated. And I'm not sure these pieces can ever be eliminated. Wow, I'm surprised that worked. That didn't completely work, but it worked better. We got now both of these tiers slightly higher. Let's see. We continue to move in this direction in the hopes that something will work. There we go. Move that there. Move that there. I'm frankly very surprised I've made it this far. But also, I would say playing 2048, you kind of play it a lot the first time you play it in your life, and then you hit this point where it's more of a muscle memory style of experience, and you kind of know what to do after you figured out the strategies, or at least some of the basic strategies. I very possibly don't know all the strategies. I'm gonna bring this down, bring that there, and there we go. We're at 256, so 8th tier, like I said. So 9th tier should be 512. 10th tier should be 1024, 1024, and 11th tier is 2048, which is definitely a lot. It may not seem too much like a lot, but it really is. It's a lot of compressing. Sometimes when you play, particularly the modded versions of Minecraft, you'll have compressed cobblestone, and it will allow you to generate and carry and use ridiculously large amounts of cobblestone or other kinds of materials. That's effectively what this is. It's a compressed version, 8 times compressed version of one of these. And I like that they're getting a little bit higher. I'm not sure if they're really following any colors of the rainbow, though. If they are, they're starting going backwards, because Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet would be the color of the rainbow. So the biggest one we have right now is red, and the smaller ones are yellow and green. So if you were doing this by the colors of the rainbow, you're doing it in a oddly backwards fashion. This is an interesting game series because of just how much I misswiped there for a second, but I was able to recover. Just how many people have made copies of this style of game. Similar instances happened also with games like Flappy Bird, Pong, and Asteroids, and Arkanoid are some very classic games that often run into similar instances of just a lot of people trying to clone those games and thinking that they somehow are going to do it in any way that's new or innovative, which is just unlikely. Now we're at 9. And I'm half hoping that the game will just end if we get to 1024 or 2048. because this really could just go on forever. But I'm sort of suspecting that the different modes are an indicator that that won't be the case in this instance, and once we get to 1024 you'll just done, you'll get a score. Well, I don't know how you get a better high score though, without being allowed to continue playing after 2048. I want to call it 1024. 1024 in a programming language is a lot more important than 2048 is. Because you multiply 1 megabit, well 1 kilobit by 1024 to get 1 megabit or something along that way. It's used in networking for megabits per second. I probably said that wrong, but it confuses the issue certainly a lot, because most people are used to dealing with megabytes, which are 8 bits, but the network tries to make it, networking at least in its original days went with megabits per second to hide the fact that they weren't really transmitting very fast. And heck, in the United States you're still not really getting very good internet speeds. We've got another spoiler here. It's gonna be a problem. And I've gotten down to a point where nothing seems to really want to work. Nothing wants to combine. Maybe I saved the day there. The problem I would say with a game like this is you are going to run into scenarios where you really are just gonna lose at the very cusp of victory. It's gonna snatch victory away from you in the jaws of defeat, and that's not good game balancing. I don't know how you really fix a game like this so it works better. You probably do it by allowing some undo and redo, which I assume that's maybe what some of this is, although I'm a little afraid to click any of the buttons because it would very possibly would ruin my current game. Just not working well. It's just not going great, although I think we might be close, or closer to what it seems. Need to upgrade this one more and then we'll get to a rank 10. Put that there. Every time I swipe down it messes it up, so I have to kind of start all over again. Let's see, let's swipe up here, fix that, fix that, fix that. And it's almost like I'm just starting now with a 3x4 grid and just want to leave that one alone. I messed up again. I gotta keep an eye on this one specific spot. I don't think you can. Well, I guess maybe you could go around in a spiral shape and get more patterns. Perhaps that's a advanced technique I had never thought of before. I'm fairly certain that there are definitely some advanced techniques I haven't thought of before. Let's see. We're running out of time. And running out of space. Nothing wants to combine. There we go. We're slowly getting there. Ever so slowly getting there. And screwing it up in the process. The music kind of never ends. It just goes on and on. It's actually, I would guess, a very smart musical choice. It's just so odd a choice for this style of game. Like, you wouldn't expect any kind of music at all. And of course, there's always a chance it's all going to get content ID'd and you're not going to be hearing any of the music. For YouTube stupidity. We're now basically at a 2x4 level. So is that... How come all of these are different sizes? Oh man, it just... There's too many. I would have very much preferred just numbers. This color scheme doesn't help. The colors are too subtly close to each other. I can see a lot of people with poor color vision seeing very little difference between this, and I barely myself see any difference in shading between this color and this color, but clearly they are different colors, or they're supposed to be different colors. Let's see. There we go, there we go, and there we go, the 1024. Of course, it's basically going to take the entirety of the time it's taken to get to this point to get to 2048. And that's the recursive nature of doing a game like this. And I think I've mostly got it in a good position. Again, screwed that up. Still a lot of chance here that you'll just totally screw up and not actually be able to make it to 2048. Like that is totally doable. This isn't quite a puzzle that is impossible to lose. So yeah, you can totally run out of spots and paint yourself into a corner. as I may have just done. There we go. Just keep on playing. Yes, definitely not a game you'd want to make a series out of, though, as a YouTube streamer and a video game critic. It's just too simplistic. This is a time waster game. You get the general idea. There are some extra modes in here I want to start, but I doubt we'll even play them because of, frankly, just how simplistic they sound like they're gonna be. Running out of spaces. I now have only 2 more spaces left, and what has happened is I've run out of mental energy. I've lost the capability of just caring enough about maintaining the game as it is. Let's see. Let's just shift that back. So now that's becoming a problem because now I'm having to try and double my efforts to just keep from blinking or falling asleep, mentally at least. A lot of puzzle games run into a point where you can only, well, I personally can only put about 30 minutes of attention into them. It's been about 30 minutes since we started playing this, and clearly, while I'm on the cusp of victory, I'm also potentially on the verge of defeat. And I'm gonna have to be very cautious about what I'm doing. And that was probably the absolute wrong move. So now, instead of being at the top, our main thing is over in the corner. That might turn out to be a great thing, but I doubt it. And so I have to decide, do I want to move this one, which has slightly smaller numbers, or this one? I'm gonna do this one and hope we can get some merging going on. Get some of these out and try and clear the pattern. There we go. That I managed to open up more of the area to work within, which hopefully turns out to be good. Yeah, the same song has been looping without even a noticeable break for 30 minutes. Like, that was a poor decision in the development. It's not super noticeable until you look at the clock and you start to think. Notice that there really isn't a clock on this screen either. There must be one in the time trial, though, you would assume. Ooh. And just like that, I lost. What does this button do? It just resets you. Okay, so what does this button do? Take you back to the main level. And what does this button do? It tells you your high scores. This is a great point to see how the screen is really only using this part there. Alright. So, alternate colors for modern mode. Let's see what that looks like. So far it doesn't seem like there's too much of a difference. Maybe just ever so slightly a different hue. I mean, did the options... Nope, I changed the options. And it saves the game for you, that's nice. These colors don't seem much different. I mean, if you have to get super high up in the tier before you can even see the alternate colors or any difference in the colors, that's probably not going to be super helpful. Oh, I get it. Purple at a 6 point actually does make it better. Yep. So I'd have to play a whole nother game to get at least as far as I got before. And let's look at the other game modes. So here's your classic 2048, where we are let's just restart. Interesting. And this is basically what you would have to do. You have a 4, you're given a 2. You're not always given just 2s in, I guess, 2048. I've seen so many different variations. What is standard and what isn't is very flippant and up in the air. And this is at least a lot more familiar to play this way, use the numbers. It seems like this would be a lot easier to look at the very least, and not make a bunch of mistakes. 16, 32, 64. You get the color changing. But you get the non-isometric view, so that's cool. So you get that, or you get a mode I have never seen before, which apparently can play light or dark theme. That's nice too. Where this would be probably a little bit easier because it just leaves you a lot of room to like just go crazy with the swiping. It is questionable, certainly, as far as just how much of this you really want to do with a mouse. I assume... Ooh, no, it does have controller support. But I would imagine you're supposed to use the D-pad and not the left stick. So you can literally, on a controller, go in circles, and it swaps things around. And you're actually getting a pretty high score here. There are achievements on Steam for this, worth noting, so you can continuously try for better scores and play all of that. Or you could just kind of cheat like this, man. Plug in a controller and just go in circles. I want to see how high this will go until it just naturally fails. It's actually incredibly slow. Let's see. I'll just spin this on the palm of my hand, which causes you to blister your hand. The score is at 64,000 now and greatly rising. Now, to be fair, this 8x8 grid, you probably could go on for a considerable amount of time. Let's see. And I'm far past the 2048 score doing it here on this. Now I'm at 100,000, and I think I'm going to have to leave it at that because it's just going to take forever to actually lose. So here's a 1024 score, here's an 8,192, and that's the biggest score on the field. So that's interesting. Here's a question though. If I was to go here, this is still saved. If I'm to go here, this is still saved. You can just play all of them. Here we have unmistakable 2048, which I don't know what that means. As far as unmistakable, like where, I guess maybe you can undo. Yeah, you have undo in this option, and if you play unmistakable, there's no undo button. Interesting. Just a slight option. Here you have survival with no undo button. And ooh, I guess you lose pretty easily on this one. 2, 2, 2. This seems kind of random. It seems like you need a 2 and a 4, and oh, you have 5 seconds to make a match, I guess. And so you have to just play super fast. What is probably an unreasonably fast amount of movement required to do this, because you're just never going to have enough time to. Yeah, I seriously doubt you get a 2048 playing this mode. This is too much. Way too much. Just keep on playing. You do get a small bit of a reprieve, but not enough. I have like 8 seconds now, just swiping all around. This would be great for kids that really don't know how to play the game, I suppose. Just see how long you can survive swiping like crazy. And I imagine this is one of those games that was popular on cell phones because of a lack of real need to understand what's going on, and a lack of real need to really have to do anything that's super intense as far as playing on a cell phone. All you really have to do is swipe around. Whether you know what the swiping around means or does is not 100% necessary. Yeah, now I have like 19 seconds, and I guess if you were to go back into this, you still have your time, but you'd have to hop on board real fast. Survival 8x8, same thing. You're getting a lot of options here. This time trial mode, same thing. You have 60 seconds, except for this time you don't get an increase of time, I think, at all. I think you literally just have 60 seconds to see how far you can get in the pattern. That way you can, at the end of a minute, this would be a good competitive mode to, if that was something that was ever something people wanted to do. I could see a speedrunning like conference charity live stream doing speedruns of a time trial mode for 2048. It wouldn't take too long, and it would be easy enough to squeeze in between longer runs of other games. Alright, not too bad. 500 points. But they're all variations on a theme, certainly. Nothing amazingly different. The only real change is the quote-unquote modern mode, which I'm not 100% sure I like. And I'm still not 100% sure on... You have to click here. This is a mess of a high scoreboard. It needed like a bar that you could scroll through, like a arrow over here and the arrow over there, and it says classic 4x4, instead of just clicking on everything like this. That's bad layout. Overall, a pretty good game. The 2048 on Steam, 99 cents. If you want to support the original creator, I think that is fair. The one main thing I would suggest about this game is go into that options and turn that music off, because that is way too repetitive. Listen to your own music or whatever you prefer to listen to. That's going to be it for this recording. I end all my recordings the same way. I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. That helps me with YouTube and tells them that my videos are worth watching. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description. And if you want to support me even further, you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game, either off my wish list or just something you'd like to see me cover, or you can support me through Patreon. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.